Hey everybody, this is Chris. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well today. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the pronunciation of different towns and cities in the UK, because there are some places in the UK that are not pronounced in the way that you would expect. So you may have been pronouncing a lot of these wrong without even realizing it. Even native speakers from other English-speaking countries, such as the US or Australia, sometimes have difficulty pronouncing these names because they're not always said in the same way that they're spelt. So in this video, there may be different pronunciations, but I've just chosen some of the most common pronunciations that you might hear on the streets in the UK. So let's look at 30 of the most confusing pronunciations of place names in the UK. So number one is a really common one, and this is a huge city in the UK, Birmingham. Now, this is not pronounced Birmingham, which is very confusing because in America, in the United States, there is a city called Birmingham. And the ham is stressed and it's pronounced as ham, like the meat. But in the UK, Birmingham does not have ham in it. It has in it. Birmingham. So the ng in the middle joins together with the schwa at the end. Ngum at the end. Birmingham. Birmingham. So it's nothing to do with ham. It's nothing to do with the food. It should be Birmingham. Birmingham. And we stress the the first syllable here. Birmingham. Number two is very similar. It's not pronounced with ham. It's at the end. Nottingham. Again, the first syllable is stressed. Nottingham. So again, it's got the ng sound where your tongue rises up to the back of your mouth to make this ng sound. And then we have ngum at the end. Nottingham. Nottingham, where Robin Hood is from, if you are familiar with that story. Number three also has H-A-M at the end, but it's not pronounced ham, it's By the way, the reason why it's pronounced like this is because this is an unstressed syllable. If this word was stressed, we would say ham, but because it's unstressed, it becomes The A turns into the schwa sound, So this one is pronounced Durham. So it's not Durham, it's Durham. D-A-R-M. Durham. And there's a famous university in Durham, which a lot of people might have visited or studied at. So this is an important one to know. Number four, similar. Cheltenham. So this has got two schwa sounds. The first E is pronounced E. The second E is pronounced And the last A is also pronounced So you may know that a lot of unstressed vowel sounds in English will be pronounced as So this is Cheltenham. Cheltenham. So we don't say so the T-E-N in the middle is pronounced tun, not ten. It's not ten or ham, it's Cheltenham. And this is where they have some famous horse races. You might have heard of that before. And number five and number six have mouth at the end. And this is actually related to the mouth of the river, where the river meets the sea. But in these words, it's not stressed. So it's not pronounced mouth. It's pronounced muth. Muth. For example, Portsmouth. The first part of the word is stressed. Ports. So it's like port and then muth. Watch the th sound at the end. Your tongue should be in between your upper and lower teeth, or maybe sticking out slightly to make this th sound. It's not muff. It should be muth. Portsmouth. And number six is similar. It's also by the sea. It's pronounced Bournemouth, not Bournemouth. Number seven is similar as well. Plymouth. Plymouth. This is not pronounced ply. It should be muth. First syllable is stressed. Plymouth. It's also a seaside town in the UK. So next we have some place names that end in bora. Bora. For example, Peterborough. So you may know that the O-U-G-H spelling in English is really confusing, but here it's pronounced So this is not borough, it's not borrow or anything like that. It's borough. Borough. For example, Peterborough. Peterborough. Or you can shorten it even more. You can say Peterborough. You can pronounce it You can pronounce it like that as well. Number 9 is similar. Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough. In the middle, it's got z. Middlesbrough. Or Middlesbrough. Borough. Okay, quite difficult. And you may notice that most of these place names are stressed on the first syllable. So that's something to be aware of. Edinburgh. Edinburgh is another common one that a lot of people get wrong. And this is pronounced fairly similarly to the ones that you just saw, but it's spelt a little differently as well. So it's actually Edinburgh. Edinburgh. So it's actually br at the end. B-r, and then the schwa. Br. It's not Edinburgh, Edinburgh, or anything like that. It should be Edinburgh. Or you can pronounce it with a trill on the R, like a lot of Scottish people do. You could say Edinburgh, Edinburgh. If you can roll your R like that, if you speak Spanish or another language, or maybe Russian, where you need to roll your R like that, you could say Edinburgh. But a lot of people in the UK would say Edinburgh with a R like that. Okay, next we got 2 that end in -ry. So this is not berry, it should be bury. For example, Canterbury. And Salisbury. This is not Salisbury, Salisbury. Now we got some more confusing ones. You'll see that a lot of place names in the UK end in C-E-S-T-E-R. And this is not pronounced Cester, Chester, or anything like that. It's actually ster. For example, Leicester. This is not Leicester or Leicester. It should be Leicester. And there's a bigger region which is called Leicestershire. This is not Leicestershire. Normally, the places that end in S-H-I-R-E, this should be pronounced sh. Leicestershire. We've also got Worcester and Worcestershire. And then Gloucester, not Glau, but Gloucester and Gloucestershire. So the spelling is really confused. It's not said anything like how it's spelt. 2 more now that end in F-O-R-D. And in these place names, we don't normally say Ford. We would say Fud. F, then the schwa sound then d, because this part of the word is not stressed. For example, Bradford. Not Bradford, but Bradford. And the next one is Oxford. Obviously Oxford is a very famous place in the UK, Oxford University, but a lot of people will say Oxford. Obviously, it's talking about a ford, and it's made up of these 2 parts, but we stress the ox, so it should be Oxford. Not Oxford or Ord. It's not like that. It should be Oxford. Okay, let's move a little more quickly now. Some place names have silent W's. For example, Warwick. We don't say Warwick. The second R is silent. It should be Warwick. Also, Berwick. Berwick upon Tweed. A small place, but it's got a silent W sound. Also in Norwich. We don't say Norwich. It should be Norwich. Have you ever heard of this one? Lincoln. So here we don't say Lincoln. The second L is silent. It should be Lincoln. Have you ever been to Scotland? We talked about Edinburgh already, but also Glasgow is one that a lot of people get wrong. It's not Glasgow, it should be Glasgow with O at the end. Glasgow. Also that S is pronounced Z, not S. It should be Glasgow. This one can be very confusing for Americans because this is not pronounced Derby like it's spelled. It should be Derby. With a long R sound. This is a town in the north of England. Aberdeen. So this should be pronounced Aber, not Aber. And the stress is actually on the second syllable here. Aberdeen in Scotland. Aberdeen. Another town which is quite famous and used to make a lot of cars in the UK is Coventry. This is not cove, it's not cove, but cov, then tree. with the difficult t, r, tr combination in the middle. Coventry. Coventry. This one is really confusing because this is actually a word, reading. If you're reading a book, we would pronounce this as reading. But with a capital R, when we're talking about the name of the place, it's pronounced Reading. Reading. R-E-D-I-N-G. Reading. So a lot of people who come to the UK will pronounce this reading, which is incorrect. Only when it's a place name is it pronounced Reading. So be sure to get this one right. We talked about Oxford already. Where's the other famous university town in the UK? It's Cambridge. But make sure that you don't pronounce this Cambridge. Even though the name of the river is the River Cam, the name of the place is Cambridge. So the first vowel sound is an A. K, A, M, br, I, J. It's got J at the end. So we don't say bridge, it's bridge, and came at the beginning. Like you came to Cambridge. I guess you can remember it like that. Cambridge. Another place in Scotland that's difficult is Curculdi. This is pronounced with stress on the second syllable. Curculdi. Curculdi, not Kirkcaldy. If you're visiting Scotland, watch out for this one. And Swansea. Swansea is a place in Wales, in South Wales. The first S is pronounced S, and the second S is pronounced Z. It's not Swansea, it's Swansea. The stress is on the first syllable. Swansea. Swansea. Swan, like that, with Z on the end. If you thought this is difficult, then you should try visiting Wales, because a lot of place names in Wales are actually pronounced with Welsh pronunciation. And Welsh is a completely different language to English. So if you want to pronounce them in a really authentic way, you need to try to pronounce these places as a Welsh speaker would do so. But don't worry, because a lot of people from the UK don't speak Welsh anyway and would pronounce these in an English way. But it's worth knowing. So a lot of places in Wales have a 2 L's in the name, and this is actually pronounced. So you put your tongue to the top of your mouth like you're going to say a letter T, T, and then you blow around the sides of your tongue like this. I'll probably get this wrong, but this should be something like Llanelli, Llanelli, with 2 sounds. Llanelli. Okay, so this is a difficult one. So a lot of people would say Llanelli or Llanelli or something like that. Just before we go, I should probably mention the longest place name in the UK. I'm going to try to pronounce this. I'll probably get it wrong. This is also in Wales, and it's become famous throughout the world because it's got an extremely long name that's very difficult to pronounce. Very few people in the UK can say this correctly. As I said, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I'm going to give it a try. This is the sign for this place name at the railway station. You can barely even fit on one sign. It's so long. So let me try to say this. Probably have to do a few takes, so let's try. Something like that. And it means the Church of St. Mary in the hollow of white hazel trees near the rapid whirlpool by St. Cilio's of the Red Cave. Are you confused? Well, I am as well. So don't worry about this one. This is just a bit of fun. You can try to pronounce it. If you are a Welsh speaker, please let me know in the comments. How did I do? How could I pronounce this one better? There are so many place names in the UK that are difficult to pronounce. I hope this video helped you a little bit, especially with some of the more common ones, and help you to avoid some mistakes and potentially some embarrassment if you're visiting the UK. Maybe in another video I can talk about some places in London, because there are a lot of difficult ones to pronounce in London. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, do remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel as well, and hit that bell notification as well so you get a notification whenever I post a new video and you won't miss out on anything. Okay, so that's all for today, and I'll see you again very soon.